Hello everyone and welcome to my first video on this YouTube channel. I am going to be doing a mini Blender lyric video whilst reading some Reddit stories to you guys, since I am definitely guilty of just scrolling on my For You page on TikTok and being sucked into part 5221 of a story, all to not even be able to hear the ending. And I am just going to tell you a bit of a background of what I'm doing. So I am creating a mini lyric video for the song Victory Lap by Chase Atlantic for my own pleasure. I'm not getting paid to do this. I'm doing this because I like the band and the song and I wanted to create this idea. And essentially it's Sonic versus Mario in Mario Kart, I guess, on Rainbow Road. I understand that this isn't the correct multiverse, this doesn't happen, but it happens in my head and that is all that matters. So I don't care if you're gonna tell me that this isn't accurate to the games. I know, okay. And another sidetrack is, please do not sue me, copyright me. This is all for entertainment. I am not profiting off of this. All of the assets that is technically used in this project is either on BlenderKit or from the model resource, so all rights go to Nintendo, Sega, and everyone that ripped these assets and made it available. So please, let me live. I am a 20-year-old British girl who just wants to create whatever is in my head. But without further ado, I think it's time for us to start the first story. All of these stories are going to be relationship theme, so enjoy story 1 coming up. This has some trigger warning of infidelity and gaslighting, and was originally posted by u/possessive boyfriend. It's titled, My 23F boyfriend, 23M, of 3 years is using Tinder, claiming to be looking for friends and hangouts. So, a single friend called me a couple days ago asking me if I knew that Dave, boyfriend, was using Tinder despite being with me for the last 3 years and living together and happily planning an engagement. I was distraught knowing what Tinder is and what it's used for. I was heartbroken. She goes on to tell me that his bio says he's looking to make some new, exciting, and fun friends and looking to hang out, and that he's willing to travel a little if there's enough excitement involved. His pictures did not include me, despite 9 out of 10 pictures used were taken either from us in the last 3 years and have us together in them. One of his pictures is him at the beach, shirtless, and a tiny man thong. I got him as a joke. He cropped me out of the image. I brought this up to him and he laughed it off, saying that 1, my best friend of 11 years is a nosy bitch, and 2, he's entitled to seek friends and be social, even if it is with complete strangers. Basically, he completely invalidated my points and made me feel guilty for being upset by this, playing it off like I'm being possessive. Wow. Okay. But since then, I've avoided bringing it up and just tried to get over it. He hasn't been out and about any more than usual, so it doesn't look like he has had any takers yet. But this is just not sitting right with me. I'm upset and feeling betrayed, and I don't know how to put my point across without him invalidating it or guilting me. What can I do? Am I in the wrong for not being okay with this? I do not want to throw away 3 years over something that might be me being silly. Here are some relevant comments. Mrs. Boo. If I were you, I would make up a Tinder profile with a different person's picture and get in contact with him and see what he does. I cannot believe that anyone would use Tinder for other than to hook up. This is from a deleted comment. From my experience, Tinder is not about friends. I've never heard of anyone using Tinder for anything but hookups. That said, let's get Reddit's consensus before we make a decision. Maybe a ton of people use Tinder as a friend finder and you and I just don't know it yet. If it's a common practice, I'd let it go, but like you said, his actual behaviour hasn't changed yet. If no one has heard of using Tinder as a friend finder before, I'd have a serious chat with him about it. I'd say it all depends on the consensus. I believe that this is the OP and the original poster that just deleted their account. Don't want to be a bit too forward yet before we go to the update, but I don't believe that the boyfriend is looking for friends and hangouts. Maybe in 2015 Tinder was different. Ooh, but I really don't think they're looking for friends and hangouts. And I don't, I literally can't say anything because it's in the nicest way. I know their behavior hasn't changed, but come on, no one is using Tinder to make friends. But here's an update, and it's from the same day. Edit. Firstly, thank you all for your perspective and advice in this quite frankly disgusting situation I found myself in. I decided I'll play dirty, as someone suggested, and made a Tinder profile pretending to be a friend, with her permission, of course, whom he does not know. I hit on him. He reciprocated and made plans to meet with me at a nearby coffee shop that we occasionally date at, minutes after making my intentions clear. Wow. In about 20 minutes, he'll be headed out to go and meet me, and I'll be packing up his shit ready for him to leave when he gets back. House is my family's. He has no rights to any of it. I deserve better. I called it. I said that because no one is just doing that to meet someone. I'm sorry. But anyway, the poster updated the next day, August 30th, 2015. He sat at the coffee place waiting for her/me for over an hour in hopes to meet my, to be honest, gorgeous friend. Obviously, she didn't show up. Shortly after he left, I've called my dad to explain, and I must have sounded pretty distraught because he came over without me asking. Dave came home to his clothes packed up by the door. He came in yelling, "What the fuck is this?" And unbeknownst to him, my dad was sat by me on the sofa and responded on my behalf, telling him in no certain words to get his filthy, unfaithful booty out of his house. I'm glad he did. I think my dad knows I'm timid and prone to being pushed about. His face dropped when he pieced it together, and without a word, he'd 180 and grabbed his bags. I know he has places he can stay and family nearby, so I'm not worried about him having no place to sleep. This is going to hurt for a long time, but I can never forgive that kind of breach of trust. I'm not the type of person to move past it. I'll allow him back to collect his pieces of furniture and such in a week or so when he is situated. But that's as far as seeing him again goes. I'm also dreading a phone call from his mother, who I love dearly. She'll be heartbroken too. Well, bye bye 3 years. F you, Dave. And these are the final comments. And this is a downvoted commenter. Wow. They said, I don't know, I still think it's kind of petty to have created the account. At 3 years, I would have hoped you could have realised anyone calling your friend a nosy bitch/invalidating your feelings isn't someone you want to be dating. But if that's what you need to get him out of your life, then I guess that's what matters. And then OP replied, I tried and he called me crazy, possessive, insulted the friend who enlightened me, and refused to acknowledge I was still upset about it for 2 days. This is another commenter. I'm really curious as to what he said to you as his excuse to meet the Tinder date. OP responded, he said he was going to go grocery shopping so I could put my feet up for the day as it was my turn to do it. Came back and didn't even have any groceries. Had to go shopping even after my broken heart. F you, Dave, ×2. I told you, girl. I told you. I told you. But hey, at least he's out of your life. Because the fact that he's saying that to about your friend after 11 years is a bit wild. So I kind of agree in the sense of that commenter, but also that is bonkers. I'm glad that you got yourself situated out before you even got fiancéed up. You had a wedding, you had kids, and you're still young. You can still get out and do whatever you want, babes. Like, good for you. Like, some people would say that it's, once again, petty to have created the account. I say you stoop lower. You want to catch him in the act? You caught him in the act. actions have consequences, and this is the consequence that he has to face. So well done, babes. You avoided that. And since they aren't together, boom. F you, Dave. Never want to hear about you again. I hope you don't do this to another poor woman, okay? But let's get on to the next story. Okay, maybe before the next story, I'll just tell you what's happened. So I got all of my models. I struggled with that so badly. So I asked the model resource Discord how to actually import a model, and it only works on Blender 4.5 and under. So I had to do that. But essentially, what I was doing was just actually creating the scene, and like right now is me posing for the opening shots. So you're gonna see that. And yeah, now we will actually go on to story 2. This was posted by u/driving anxiety throw, and it's titled, I can no longer handle my fiance's driving anxiety, and I don't care if it makes me a bad person. This was posted the 12th of September 2025. I, 31M, am at wit's end, and I don't even care if it makes me a bad person. My fiance, 32M, has crippling driving anxiety. He can't drive at all. We live in a rural area of the province. There is no public transportation here, not like in the city. There are no buses, no Ubers, no taxis. There is no way to get around if you can't drive. Because of his driving anxiety, my fiance doesn't have a driver's license and doesn't know how to drive. He depends on other people to get him around, and I'm sick of it. We've argued about this so much. He's never tried to overcome it or go to therapy or anything. He just flat out refuses. He used to depend on his parents to drive him. Then it was his roommate, and now it's me. I'm sick of having to be the one who has to drive or get him places. He works from home full time, but any time he needs to go out somewhere, it's on me. When I was in the armed forces, my role was to drive all different types of vehicles. Now I'm an electrician, so I drive all over the province to people's homes or commercial businesses for my job. I do actually enjoy driving. My fiance thinks that since I like driving, it's no problem that he doesn't drive. He won't learn. He won't go to therapy. When he still lived at home, his younger sister refused to get her license until she went to university because she didn't want to get stuck being his driver like their parents wanted. He turned down a promotion slash better job because it wasn't just working remotely, and you have to go to the office physically some of the time. I wish I had not let it get this far. It's been a sore point in our relationship for a long time. He refuses to see a therapist or walk over to get his fear. He won't even admit to having a problem. He's never been involved in a car accident or known anyone who has been hurt or killed, so I don't know why he gets so anxious. He has never even attempted to drive, even once. Our last argument was because I refused to drive 4 hours away, one way, and back by myself for a wedding we were both invited to. I would only do it if I could share the responsibilities of driving. He thinks it's fine because I've driven longer distances, but that's not the point. I don't care if I'm ending things with him over this, and it makes me a bad person. I'm effing done. Comments. The commenter said, tell him unless he gives you a solid reason beyond, I just don't like it, you refuse to drive him anywhere. What would you do if something happened to you, if you got sick or hurt or lost the ability to drive? Relationships are all about compromise and supporting each other, not one partner doing everything. You're willing to support him by taking him to therapy and seeing a doctor about his anxiety. What he's willing to do to take the pressure off you. I had a friend who had anxiety over driving due to a horrific crash when she was a teenager. 20 years later, thanks to therapy and meds, she now has a license and is a decent driver. Her partner still does most of the driving, or she'll take public transport, but if it's a short journey, she'll drive. I suspect it's all going in the too hard basket. Yeah, dealing with and potentially getting over it is going to be hard, but so's being single and trying to get around if you leave, so tell him to choose his hard. Another commenter says, tell him you'll drive him to one place and one place only, therapy. Another commenter, or to his new place with good public transportation. And then the judgment of this was not the asshole. I'll say a bit more commentary before we get to the final update. But I also drive. I've driven for a year now, actually. A year, just over a year, and I got my car as soon as I passed my license. And I I don't know if it's exactly driving anxiety, but I don't like driving because it sounds bad, but I hate every other driver because why are you rushing and why are you just being so unsafe and expecting everyone else to accommodate around you? That's why I hate driving and I will minimize it as much as I can. But then again, I also live in an area where there is good public transport, but it seems that this fiance, where they live, there's just not good public transport and they don't have the same facilities that I have. So I understand the driving anxiety aspect, but I also do have my license and I kind of got through that despite also not being in an accident and not knowing anyone that actually got into a car crash. But living in an area with no good transportation lines and refusing to drive, even at 32, which I know age doesn't matter, but 32 and still living in a rural area. I just think that definitely is a bit bizarre, and the fact that he's not willing to even attempt therapy is a bit odd. But let's carry with the update. This update was posted 3 months later. So I broke up with my now ex fiance. Before I ended things, I, 31M, tried one more time to get him, 32M, to realize that he needs to learn to drive, even if it means going to get to therapy to get over his fear. He told me he doesn't need to learn to drive because I like driving, so it shouldn't be a problem for me to do all the driving. I almost lost it when he said that. I had to go into another room to cool off. His reply made me realize it was a lost cause, so I ended things. Wow, okay. Carrying on. He begged me to reconsider, but since he refused to even admit he has a problem, I was done. Wow. Cold. Okay, okay. Let's move on. I moved out of our place at the beginning of November and I'm much happier. My ex fiance is back living with his parents. I found out that his younger sister was supposed to move back in temporarily, but she decided not to because their parents said she had to be the driver for my ex fiance. She opted to go work in another province while she was applying for PhD programs instead of moving back home because she doesn't want to be his 24/7 chauffeur. I honestly don't blame her. I was tired of it too. And then the OP decides to just appreciate all the support and that they were getting comments of people calling them an idiot and other worse names, which is insane. But here are some of the comments from that post. I'm happy for you and your ex sister in law. Another comment is, I was in this relationship for 4 years. He absolutely refused to learn to drive despite the fact that I have disabilities that are getting worse. Even though I love driving, it's one of my great passions. Driving causes me a lot of pain and I may reach a point where I can't drive anymore. I now have a partner who loves to drive me around and it's wonderful. I can't believe I let myself live like that, honestly. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I think I think that's maybe good that you kind of left your ex-fiance because it just seemed like that is something that you just couldn't compromise on and you need to compromise in a relationship and kind of do things even if you don't want to or even try. Like I think even if he attempted to go to therapy, that would have potentially saved a relationship. But alas, he didn't want to. So now he's stuck living back at home with his parents being his chauffeur. But honestly, slay for the sister. Like if like I'm imagining myself in that shoes. If I had to be forced to do that and be the chauffeur, I wouldn't have moved home. I genuinely would have just stayed out as she did and worked in another province. So props for her, props for the OP. Yeah, it may have been cold, but that's he has to learn it the hard way, and I guess he just has to learn it the hard way. There's nothing more that you can say other than the fact he needs to just not grow up, but he needs to face the fact that he will have to learn to drive a vehicle at some point. Anywho, we are on to explaining more what's happening. Woohoo! So this is the part of the animation, once again, still at the first scene and like the beginning of the shot that I had in my head of where we are kind of animating both Sonic and Mario to have this more like determined kind of victory mindset. Um, I didn't do a good job of doing that because I'm really bad at skeletons and kind of moving bones in Blender to create natural poses, but since I kind of put a blurry filter, like a blurry composition for the render, it turned out alright because you couldn't see the nitty-gritty details. But let's move on to the third story. Just as a disclaimer, this is kind of set out weird and I kind of can't understand how to read it. So I do apologize if information is just out of place, but after the first few paragraphs, I don't think any mishapped information will kind of give you a wrong answer. I think there's very much a right answer for this story. But there is a trigger warning of infidelity, drunk driving, alcoholism, death of a parent, ableism, and gaslighting. This was posted by u/wait, what? Oh no, and is titled Me, 28F, with my significant other, 28 male. He cheated on me with my stepsister, 27F, and she's pregnant with his kid. This was posted on July 18th, 2015. He, Adam, says he was drunk. We've been together for 10 years and finally got engaged and planning on getting married in a year and starting a family in a few years. And she, Betty, the stepsister, took advantage of him the first time. Adam doesn't have an excuse for the handful of other times they slept together over a 3-month period. I knew she was pregnant. I've already been roped by my mum into co hosting the baby shower with my other stepsister, Claire, 30. I don't know if it's shock or what, but I'm so effing glad I hadn't given Claire my share for the expensive jogging stroller we're getting Betty, or my half of the baby shower cost. Betty told everyone the father is an ex-boyfriend who doesn't want anything to do with her or the kid. She makes a ton of money. She'd be fine as a single mother. And my mum would help a ton since she's retired and bored and wants a family worth of grandchildren. Adam confessed everything because his dad walked out on him and his mum when he was a toddler, so he wants to be a father to his child, but still be with me because he loves me and made a mistake. I told him to get the F out of my apartment. Thank F we don't live together right now. We've lived together previously, but his mum wasn't doing well, so he moved in with her. His mum is fine now, so apparently he used his new free time to F my stepsister. Although a bunch of his crap is at my apartment because he was supposed to be moving in like a month and was bringing crap over slowly. And called my mom and told her who the real father is of Betty's baby, just because she's my mother and she'll listen to me cry. She knew already, Reddit. Apparently, in a fit of sadness over missing her deceased mother, who died when she was like 2, Betty told my mother. They all knew. Claire, mum, and my stepfather have known for months. Months. Whilst I'm here trying to find the perfect floral arrangements for the table for Betty's baby shower, because I'm trying to be all sisterly and shiz. And being the bigger person, because sure as hell, Betty wouldn't put half as much effort into the baby shower if I were having one and she was hosting or co-hosting it. Or half as much money, even though she makes a buttload more than me. My own mother couldn't tell me that my effing fiance fathered my effing stepsister's effing baby. No, in fact, she guilt tripped me into being a co host for the baby shower as soon as she found out Betty was pregnant. I think she found out Adam was the father. I think beforehand. Mother, apparently, well, the general gist is she wants us all to get along and be a family, and it doesn't matter about the past. It just matters about the new life in the family. She knows that I'm upset and hurt, but I need to work on my relationship with Adam since we've been together for 10 years, and I wouldn't want to throw that away over a mistake. And Betty, since we're sisters and have been since we were kids, and figure out how to be the bigger person and put my feelings aside for the sake of the kid and our family. I've always been the bigger person with Betty, from the very moment we were first introduced at the tender ages of 10 and 9. She refused to give me my favourite stuffed animal back. And even then, Mum felt bad for her and let her get away with being a brat. She got to take Mrs. Snuffles home while I had to suck it up and be the bigger person. She probably still has poor Mrs. Snuffles in some box in my mum and stepfather's attic, a trophy for her first of many victories over me. I hung up on my mother, and I'm here posting on Reddit. I don't want to be Betty's kid's stepmother. I don't think I can forgive Adam. He know what Betty's like and how our relationship is. Hell, I don't even know if I can forgive my mum, and she's like my mom. She was a great mum, one of my best friends. The only things wrong about her was her nasty habit of pitying Betty and letting her get away with murder and her crappy knitting that she always gives as gifts. I don't know how she can justify this betrayal in any way. It wasn't me that screwed up 10 years of relationship, or mine and Betty's supposedly sisterly bond. It was them. Maybe I should talk to her and ask if someone slipped crazy pills into her food the last few months, or maybe she's getting early dementia or something. I don't know. I kept looking at the text message from Claire she sent me way too early this morning, asking when I was giving her my share of the $800 jogging stroller we were giving Betty and my share of the baby shower costs. That's going to be worth more than a crappy Craigslist car. This is an edit. Is it wrong to reply telling her to go F herself? Because I did. We put all the crap on her credit cards, and she's in school and working a crappy retail job. And I feel bad for leaving her the huge ass debt, over $3,000. But I keep telling myself she can return the stroller, cancel stuff, sell the stuff that can't be returned, and probably my stepdad and mum will help her with the rest. Another edit. I mass texted our friends telling him that Adam was a cheating bastard who was Betty's baby daddy. We've been together for so long that all our friends are friends with us both. The only people I'm friends with who aren't friends with him are basically just acquaintances. I don't feel comfortable talking about this with them. Then I turned my phone off. I swear to God, if any of them knew or took a side, what if they all knew? God. And then this is a return to the original post. Tomorrow, my mom's out of the house at her weekly volunteering gig. I'm going to go over to their house. I have a key, but chances are, if my stepdad is home, he'll let me in and go back to watching TV. Great man. My stepsister's got a woman who tried to mother them without replacing their mother and overcompensating like hell. I got a dude that will occasionally nod at me and sometimes give me a deal on rent when the family plays Monopoly. I got stuff in the attic that I was keeping until I had a house of my own. Plus, I want to find Mrs. Snuffles. Oh, and I'm going to raid my mum's jewellery box, which sounds bad, I know, but I'll only take the stuff that my grandmother left me, I promise. I was letting my mum borrow it because I felt bad my grandmother willed it all to me and skipped her, mum's an only child, and figured I'd get it back when my mum died in 40 years, which I freely admit is stupid of me. I could just see Betty whining that she didn't have any grandmothers that will leave her jewellery, and that isn't fair. And probably my grandmother knew what she was doing, leaving it to me instead. I wish she was alive. She'd tear my mum a new one. Hopefully everything will be there and she won't be wearing anything. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I just want it just in case. I don't think she'd give any of it to Betty or Claire or anything, but I also didn't think she'd be betraying me like this. So it's my jewellery, she's borrowing it indefinitely. I just kind of figured I'd let her keep it until she died because it was her mum's, but it's mine. I can't trust her to not give any of it to Claire or Betty, and I don't want to have to talk to her if I decide to never speak to her again. So I'm getting it tomorrow. We both know that it's mine. It's not stealing. We both know it's mine. It's not stealing to decide not to loan it to her anymore. It's not stealing to decide not to loan it to her anymore. It means a lot to me, so I'm for sure getting it. Thank you for all your comments and advice so far. I'm going to go to bed and see what tomorrow brings me. Hopefully all my jewellery, Mrs. Snuffles, and messages from every one of my friends saying they've never speaking to Adam again because he's a bastard. They won't forgive me if I take him back, and none of them had any idea. This is edited again. I'm a really bad person. I texted Betty. I hope your baby is born with Down syndrome, which would be an interesting combination with a fetal alcohol syndrome it's got a 90% chance of having since you drink more than your mother ever dreamed of drinking. And then I followed up with a text calling her a C word, and then another one that just said whore. Her mum died in a car crash she caused by drinking and driving, and Betty is the type of person who has expressed more than once that people with disabilities like Down syndrome should be just killed because they don't kind of have a use and are a drain on society. I kind of feel bad partly because it's shitty things to say to anyone, and I'm a better person than that, and particularly because reading that back, I don't really think that's much of an insult or anything really. But what do I do now? I've never been pregnant. Maybe you'll make her cry, and thanks to her, I'm probably not going to get pregnant anytime soon. I turned my phone off again and kept it tossed. I tossed it on the top of the kitchen cupboards that I can't reach without a chair, and I'm for sure going to bed now. What the hell do I do? Wow, that was just 10 minutes of me reading. Holy smokes. There is an update, don't worry, but I'll give some of my thoughts. What the bloody hell have I just read? Um wow. So what I'm hearing is that everyone in OP's life actually hates her. Like no one respects her at all because why would you not tell your only, well, not only daughter, your daughter that information, and why would you not be more oh my god about it? Because your daughter's fiance of 10 years has screwed your stepdaughter and is having a child. That is not okay on any standards. Hello? And the fact that she's been trying to guilt trip her into hosting baby showers and putting more of a share into gifts is insane. I think the OP is definitely wrong for kind of the disability comments because that was really unnecessary to say, and that it is a real disability that people have and are affected by and families are affected by on the daily. So I think that is definitely where they are a bad person. But I understand why they wanted to be mean, but maybe not in that way. But once again, that is definitely one of the worst situations you can be in, and I genuinely feel sorry for her. But this is the update that was made a month later, so August 17th, 2015. I kept my relationship with Betty cool as soon as I turned 18 and moved out to go to college. We don't really have that sisterly bond, it's more like cousins you see at a family reunions bond. We tolerate each other. She knows I think she's a spoiled brat, and I know she thinks that I'm a bitch because I won't take crap from anyone and will call her or anyone out on their BS. Mum's the only person I cave to and allow myself to be guilted into crap and walked all over for. I am not a wallflower or welcome mat or anything. So yeah, a lot of you said to cut them all off. And if I read my post, that would be my advice too. Like I said, I don't take BS. I completely stopped being friends with my BFF since I was 8 when I was 22 because she was staying with me for a month and kept smoking in my apartment even though I told her not to. Then she got all bitchy when I bluntly told her she was being a jerk, and in general, I just didn't like the person she was growing into. So, first, the day after my post, I went to my mum's house. No one was home, and I used my key. I grabbed my jewellery and the boxes of random crap I had sitting in the attic. I looked for Mrs. Snuffle, but I couldn't find her. I searched all of Betty's boxes and Claire's boxes to just be sure. I'm pretty sure their dog at the time destroyed it. I doubt Betty would have kept her all those years. I may or may not have cut up all of Betty's photos I found. Whoops, was that a photo of your mum? Well, I'm sure Claire has photos of her, plus you have my mum now, so you'll be fine. No, I'm not proud of that, but, well, they're sitting in the attic anyway, and much like Adam, I had a lap of judgment. I lapped so hard I grabbed the kitchen scissors on my way to the attic. I will admit, a month later, I feel crappy I did that, but the day after I was still really roaring, pissed, and yeah. When I got home, I finally checked my phone. There was a butt ton of messages from Mom, Claire, Betty that I deleted without really reading. Even an hour afterwards, I couldn't have told you what they said, but I bet in general I could guess. The messages I got from my friends were really disappointing. Like I said, they were all mutual friends that have never known Adam and I separate from a couple, and most of the replies are, "We care about you both." Only a couple said he was a bastard or anything. One person, in fact, knew. Adam told his BFF, like a week before he told me, and his BFF strongly encouraged him to tell me. A lot of you weren't very kind about speaking about my mother. Understandably, she's not a narcissist or a bad person, really. She's too kind, and when she married my stepfather, she felt really bad for my stepsisters and took it to extremes. Like I said, she was my best friend, and I had even been toying with the idea of making her my matron of honor if we decided to have a wedding versus just going to Vegas, which we were seriously considering. I met my mother for lunch at a restaurant. She was upset with me for taking my jewelry without telling her, saying I should have left a note because she had just about had a heart attack when she got home and my stuff was gone. I told her that she should have told me as soon as Betty left that Adam was the father of her baby. She said she didn't want to get involved or in the middle, by telling me when either Adam or Betty should have meant she was involved. Plus, she's in shock that Betty had told her that and wasn't really thinking about me. I told her that happened most of the time when Betty was involved ever since we were first introduced. She tried to convince me to take Adam back again, that I shouldn't waste our 10 years together. I told her that Adam wasn't the one who chose to throw away 10 years. She did tell me that she hadn't known when she moaned me into co hosting that Adam was the father, and that she and my stepfather would cover my share of the gift and the shower. I told her that I was her daughter. She gave birth to me, and I'm not going to be able to forgive Betty. So if Mom wanted to keep being my mother, she needed to pick me for once. She said she couldn't do that, that she had been Betty's only mother figure, and she wholly considered Betty her daughter, and she really didn't want to get involved still, that if she'd given birth to all three of us, her decision would still stay the same. I told her I was very sorry to hear that, and I wished her well. I'd call her every now and then, but I was not going to see her much or attend family gatherings, nor would any children of mine know my stepfamily. She said she was sorry to hear I was deciding that, and she hoped I'd forgive and forget eventually, and not tear the family apart. And Betty was the one who effed my fiance and tore the family apart. Then I said goodbye, popped down my share of the bill, and left. But for now, I've got her and my stepfamily on their ringtones, so I know not to answer them. If she insists on talking about Betty, Adam, or their baby on our phone calls, I won't speak to her until she learns not to do it. Yes, she very kindly admonished me for what I texted Betty, but I shrugged and told her she's getting involved by telling me I shouldn't have sent that. Yes, I realised I shouldn't have sent Betty what I did, but I was pissed and I'd finished off a bottle of wine, and frankly, she's the C word. As for Adam, he showed up about a few days after he told me with pizza, ice cream, and flowers. I had his stuff sitting by the door and was more than willing to have him get it and go, but he convinced me to talk to him. He confessed that while I lost my virginity to him, he had lost his to Betty a few weeks before. It felt like he'd punched me in the face. I told him if I had known that, I would have dumped his ass then and spent the remaining 9.5 years not being held back because he didn't want to leave our city or go on trips out of the country or get a freaking cat. He's super allergic. Or paint my nails. He's weird about nail polish. I haven't painted mine since we started dating seriously. He was apologetic but said he loved me and wanted to work on things. I told him I wasn't going to be Betty's baby's stepmother and I wanted to live 100% Betty free life, and that if I were to take him back, he'd have no contact with the woman he cheated on me with, which obviously wouldn't be possible if he's the kid's dad. He said that Betty told him that there was a chance he wasn't the father after he told me, because, like I said, she's a C word. I told him there still was a chance he was, though I wasn't going to risk it. Plus, I didn't change the fact that he'd betrayed me when we were first together, and last year, and that was 2 times too many. He asked if we could still be friends with. I'm 90% sure the intent to win me back. I told him I'll think about it. No chance in hell that is happening. I talked to my dad. He lives across the country and we're in great terms, even though we only saw each other during the summer when I grew up. I really like my stepmother, but our relationship had always been a bit shallow because, well, I was not nice and firmly pushed her away not to hurt my mum's feeling, which I'm pretty sure in some sort of weird irony. Dad offered to pay me to get out of the rest of my lease and let me live in one of his rental houses for free if I want to move to his city. I'm going to do it. I've got a buttload of savings to save me a while until I find a job. I never wanted to stay in our home city forever, and I think being 2,000 miles away from my mom and the rest of them will really help. I'm going to work on my relationship with my stepmother too. First thing I'm going to do when I see her is apologizing. I quit my job and have spent the last few weeks relaxing, planning, and speaking to a therapist, looking up cats for adoption in my dad's city, and reaching out to a handful of friends I have from there when I'd visit my dad in the summer. Hopefully, someone will click, and I'll have at least one good friend there. I bought myself way too much nail polish, got a manicure, and lots of money on a pair of boots I've wanted since forever, but held off on getting because, I couldn't splurge on that because I was going to get married. So everything's going to be okay, I think. Thank you to everyone who commented and private messaged me advice. Holy smokes, was that a whirlwind of a story. I don't think OP is in the wrong in any part of this story besides texting Betty those words and kind of wishing ill intent on the child, because obviously it's a love affairs child, but obviously the child has no parts. They were just created, and saying that to a child definitely was a mess up on OP's part. But everything else, oh my god. Genuinely, I'm a bit shocked that they would still do low contact with her mum. But I guess, in a way, her mum is her mum. But even then, holy smokes, I really hope Karma gets Adam and Betty. I hope he gets everyone besides the dad and the stepmom, because I'm just in shock about what I've just said and what's happened. Like, I'm glad that OP has kind of gotten a better ending and that they're starting fresh, they're doing what they wanted to do, and that they are kind of just going to live their own life, and that they are choosing themselves for once. So I'm so proud of OP for doing that. And yeah, it was 10 years of their life, but you live and you learn, and this is what life is about. And now she's living her best life, I hope. I hope she's doing well. Now that all of the juicy relationship Reddit stories have concluded, I'll kind of just put you up to speed about everything that's happened. So, since this is a lyric video, I copied and pasted the lyrics from Google, and then I turned it into a text, turned it into an object, and then I kind of synced it up with the song on the timeline of the Blender file. And then once that was completed, as you can see now, I started to put Mario and Sonic against each other. I know that there's a more optimal way, but I'm not doing that. I told you I'm not a Blender master. I'm doing what I'm doing, okay? If you don't like it, hate it. But here I'm just showing the recording and the editing of the final piece, which you're gonna finally see soon. And I kind of just got clips of like Sonic and Mario from the internet and kind of meshed that in, overlaid it with the song, and then just kind of made it look a bit better. I don't know what else I can say, but I just edited the video and kind of just made it how I could see it in my head. But that is kind of essentially my process of making a lyric video, and here it is. But before I show you guys what it is, I hope you really enjoyed my first YouTube video and that you subscribe, like, and then comment, and maybe comment what else you want to see from me, and if there's anything else that I could do for this channel, because this was kind of fun to make and I definitely use Blender a lot, so I can do kind of anything maybe ish that you guys want, so please do let me know below. But here is the final product and the final result.
You're too slow. Here we go.
Yeah, this is the victory lap. You gotta run the shit back. Yeah, this is the victory lap. If this is the cast the vibe, yeah. Chase the high, yeah. Well, here rewind, yeah. Run it back one more time, yeah.